Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, and I'm here today to finish reading The Year of the Dog by Grace Lin, published by Little Brown and Company. We're going to pick up where we left off with chapter 21, after Grace has finally decided what she's going to write her book about, the ugly vegetables that her mother plants in her garden that turn into a wonderful soup. Chapter 21 is called Making a Book. You can see the illustration of a shelf of books. Now that I had my book idea, I had to write the story. This wasn't easy. It took me all night to write the story, and that was just the first time. Mom read it and made me change things. Then Dad read it and made me change things. Lissy read it and told me to change everything, but I didn't listen to her. Finally, I read it to Kiki and Melody, and they said it was perfect. So I brought it to school. Mrs. McCurdy read it and liked it very much, but she made me change things too. So I had to write my story over 3 times, and then I had to type it all out. Mom helped me, but it still took a long time. After the story was done, I drew and painted picture after picture. It was fun painting and drawing. I used all my favorite colors like rose violet and vermilion red. I made the vegetables look even uglier than they were in real life. And I made myself look even prettier by making my eyelashes longer and always wearing a long and beautiful dress. I looked like a princess. But it was easy to make mistakes. Sometimes I would have to paint a picture 2 or 3 times before it was perfect. I never knew it was so hard to make a book. I even ran out of paint. Dad went out and bought me some new ones. The man at the store said these paints were not for beginners, Dad told me, and I told him my daughter is not a beginner. I pasted the pictures in my story onto the pages. Ms. McCurdy and Mr. Valente helped me bind the book. I was so proud. If I won the contest, I couldn't imagine what they would do to make it more like a real book. Before we sent the books to the contest, Ms. McCurdy showed each book to the class. I was embarrassed when she showed mine. I probably shouldn't have tried to make myself look prettier. It was kind of silly to garden in a long dress. I hope they let me change that if it was ever printed as a real book. Ms. McCurdy put all the books in the library on a special shelf she saved for us. She put them in alphabetical order by author, just like they did with the real books. Mine was right next to Melody's. Ms. McCurdy said that we wouldn't hear from the contest until next year. She warned all of us not to hope too hard about winning the contest. She said it was a contest that everyone in the whole country would be entering, so it would be difficult to win. But she also said we should be proud of our books because they were all good and deserved to win a prize. Next year was a long time to wait, I thought, but if they had to read the books of everyone in the whole country, I guess it made sense. Miss McCurdy gave us our grades. I got an A+. Melody came over to my house after school. She got an A on her book, too. Good job, Mom said when we told her the news. I know you both worked very hard on that project. Mom sliced some red bean paste candy for us to snack on as a reward. The mahogany-colored candy was soft and sweet and coated our mouths. Did Miss McCurdy say anything about your books besides your grade? Mom asked. She said mine was beautiful, I said, nodding my head. Mine was wonderfully unique. Melody said. Whose book did you like best? Mom asked. Sam Mercer's, Melody said, giving me a nudge. Now that Teddy had a girlfriend, we both liked Sam. His book was about a knight that killed people. That doesn't sound like a nice book, Mom said. No, we said in unison. It was great. Chapter 22, No More School. And there's a drawing of almond cookies on this page. After the book project was over, the days disappeared like dumplings on a plate. The sun shone with the yellow of summer, and the wind blew a breeze that felt like it came from an oven. Almost before I knew it, the last bell was ringing, and Melody and I were running to my house to celebrate the end of the school year. Mom took out some crumbly almond cookies for us. Melody loved eating at my house. We had lots of food that was not nutritious. What's your family doing this summer? Mom asked. We're going to TAC camp again, she told us, and we're visiting my Aunt Alice in New Jersey. What's TAC camp? I asked. Oh, it's a camp for Taiwanese Americans. We all get together and do things, she told me. We go every summer. We spend a week there, and then we go see my Aunt Alice the next week. That sounds boring, I said. No, it's fun, Melody said. We sing songs and go to art class, all the usual fun camp things, except everyone is Taiwanese. Maybe you should come. But I can't speak Taiwanese like you, I said. That's okay, Melody said. Everyone knows English. Some of them don't know how to speak Taiwanese either. Anyway, I could help you. You should come, too. It would be fun. Maybe she will, Mom said. I think it would be good for Pacey to make more Taiwanese friends. I'm going to call your mom about this camp. Mom found out more about TAC camp. Melody's mother explained to her that it was really Taiwanese American Convention, which was kind of like a camp, but it was for the whole family, not just the kids. The adults would meet other Taiwanese American parents and listen to speeches and things. The kids would get together and do crafts and watch movies. Mom thought it sounded good not just for me, but for the whole family, so we drove down to the convention. The first week of the convention was fun. Melody and I spent most of our time together. Sometimes we get bright-colored popsicles in the shape of rockets and eat them, turning our mouths as purple as the pansies decorating the stairs we like to sit on. Sometimes we drew ice cream-colored chalk pictures of dogs or hearts with our names and Sam Mercer's in them, or unicorns on the faded playground pavement. Once we held a stuffed animal wedding with Kiki and Benji. Danny Dog married Sabrina, Benji's toy cat, and Butterscotch. My teddy bear was the minister. It was a lovely wedding. Kiki's pony toys carried away the bride and groom. Lizzie spent all her time with the big girls, dancing and shopping. But after the first week, Melody's family had to leave. They were going to see her Aunt Alice in New Jersey. I was sad she was leaving. It's not going to be any fun now, I told her. Well, I'd rather stay here with you, Melody said to me. My Aunt Alice is strange. What do you mean strange? I asked. Does she have purple hair? No, Melody said. She looks normal, but she believes in ghosts. Did I tell you that the last time I visited her, I sat on a ghost? What? I asked. How could you sit on a ghost? You can see the pictures of Melody and Pacey eating popsicles, and also of Butterscotch, Pacey's teddy bear. How Melody sat on a ghost. The last time that we went to my Aunt Alice's, she invited us over for dinner. I think it was for Chinese New Year. I can't remember. Anyway, there were 2 chairs at the end of the table that were empty. Even though no one was sitting in the chair, there were big plates of food there. I could smell the stir-fried noodles and the shiny roasted duck and the dragon red pork. They seemed to invite me over, so I sat down on one of the empty chairs ready to eat. Aunt Alice rushed over like a typhoon and hurried me out of the chair. She told me those chairs were for the ghosts of her parents. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She poured hot tea in 2 fancy cups and served them to the empty chairs. When she finished, she bowed with deep respect, her nose almost touching her knees. It made me think that maybe there were ghosts there. Do you think they minded that I sat on them? I wonder if I sat on her father or her mother. But then again, maybe they weren't sitting down yet. I couldn't tell. I kept watching the chair cushions to see if they got wrinkled or anything when the ghost sat down or stood up, but not one gold thread of the embroidery moved. My parents told me it was a way of honoring the dead. I was worried the whole dinner that it was just going to be for the ghosts and that we weren't going to be able to eat anything. But my mother told me that we would get to eat after the ghosts were done. Then I was worried because how would we know when the ghosts were done? I didn't see any food disappearing. We could be waiting a long time and the food would be cold. But Aunt Alice seemed to know. She served all the courses one by one to the ghosts, and after the last course was served, she took all the food back to the kitchen. And reheated it. Then we got to eat. I sat next to one of the ghosts for the whole meal. At least I think I did. Maybe they moved around, Melody finished. But they were pretty nice as far as ghosts goes. Do you know what that means? I said. You ate ghost leftovers. Melody said, and they were delicious. Chapter 23, a Twinkie. There's a picture of a broken crayon. Mom said that it was good Melody was leaving early because then I could make new friends. That was the whole reason why we came to TAC camp. So she signed me up for an art class with kids my age. When I got to the room, there were 4 other girls there. They were chatting like squirrels, so I went up to them. Hello, I said. One girl said something to me that I didn't understand. I shook my head. I can't speak Chinese, I said. I wasn't speaking Chinese, the girl said to me, her eyebrows flying to her forehead. I was speaking Taiwanese. I can't speak Taiwanese either, I said. You can't speak Chinese or Taiwanese, the girl said. Why not? I didn't know what to say. Mom and Dad spoke to each other in Taiwanese and Chinese at home, but they always spoke to us in English. Once when a girl in my school asked me the same question, my teacher had asked for me. Her parent had answered for me. Your parents are Italian, right? Mrs. Whitten had said to her. Do you speak Italian? She had shaken her head no. Well then, Mrs. Whitten said, why should Grace have to speak Chinese? It's the same thing. You're both Americans. And in America, most people speak English. I'd been happy with that answer then, but now my tongue felt frozen in my mouth and I couldn't say anything. The Chinese girl looked at me as if I were a filthy cockroach crawling on her food, her fat face wrinkled in disgust. I don't know, I mumbled. I know why, one girl said, her nose arching towards the ceiling. It's because you've been Americanized. My mother says that she would never let me become Americanized. She said that when you're Americanized, you don't have any culture. You're a twinkie, another girl said. My brother said that Chinese people who are Americanized are twinkies, yellow on the outside but white on the inside. The girls cackled and jabbered at each other in Chinese like mockingbirds. I felt like a helpless fish frying in oil, with red-hot heat burning my face and stinging my eyes. I turned around so they wouldn't see me cry. More kids and the teacher came in. I breathed through my tears and sat down. We sat at small tables, and the teacher put paper and crayons in front of us. I sat as far away from those girls as possible. The teacher taught us a bit about colors. She asked us to draw something red, so I drew a piece of watermelon. Then we had to draw something blue, so I drew a bluebird. Then she had us draw something white, so I drew a unicorn. But then she asked us to draw something yellow, and I couldn't think of anything yellow that I wanted to draw. The teacher walked around and looked at everyone's drawings. She stopped and looked at my drawings. This is lovely, she said, looking at my picture of a bluebird. She showed the rest of the class. Look at the beautiful drawing of a bluebird Pacey did. All of a sudden I felt better. I didn't have to speak Chinese to be a good artist. But my smile disappeared when I saw one of the girls at the other table scowling at me. The teacher kept walking around the room, and I heard her stop at the girls' table. Now, this is nice and yellow. Is it a banana? The girls laughed. No, I heard them say. It's a Twinkie. I pressed down so hard on my crayon that it broke. The hot oil inside of me was blistering and bursting. In my head, I wanted to shout, I never want to speak Chinese, ever. If it makes me mean like you. But I didn't say anything. When the class was over, I went back to our room and I threw myself on the bed. And then I cried and cried. I hated those girls. They were so horrible. Kiki saw me crying and ran to get Mom. What's wrong, Mom asked me. Did something happen? I shook my head. I didn't want to tell anyone what those girls said, but I kept crying. Dad went inside and asked the art teacher if anything happened in the class, but the teacher said I had been fine. She even said that I did very good drawings. I stopped crying and started hiccuping. Did she really say that? I asked. Maybe things weren't so bad. I probably would never have to see those girls again. I blew my nose and rubbed my eyes. And then I asked my mom, why did you want me to have more Chinese friends? Was someone mean to you in your class, Mom asked. What did they say to you? No, I shook my head. I still didn't want to tell anyone what happened. No one said anything. Mom sighed. I thought it would be good for you to have friends from your own culture, Mom told me, so you could know people who are like you. Did I ever tell you about my first friend in America? Mom's first friend. When Dad and I first came to the United States, I was very lonely. Dad was in medical school and I was going to college, but I had never lived away from my family before. I was used to having my 4 sisters and a brother, my parents, my grandparents, uncles and aunties, around everywhere. In Taiwan, we used to all eat dinner together, laughing and talking, everyone bubbling over like simmering soup. When I came to the United States, everything seemed quiet and cold. Usually I ate dinner all by myself because Dad was too busy. I would shiver on my way to school, the wind biting me the whole way. People would talk and laugh and walk by me as if I were an invisible ghost. I was scared to talk to them because my English was so bad. I didn't understand the TV or my teachers or anyone. They all spoke so fast, their words sounding like monkeys jabbering. I didn't know how to make friends with any of them. I was sad and lonely and homesick. I felt like a thistle in a rose garden. Every day I would come home from school and cry and cry. One day while I was crying, someone knocked on the door. "Are you okay?" someone called out in Chinese. I was so surprised that someone was talking in Chinese that I stopped crying and I opened the door. At the door was a Chinese girl with a grin like a melon slice. Her name was May. She had been visiting a friend next door and had heard me crying. When she learned I was Chinese, she decided to come over. What a difference it made knowing May. We became fast friends. I clung to her like a vine and she supported me like a tree. She told me how she had been homesick too when she had first came, but now she never wanted to go back. She introduced me to her American friends, helped me with my English and my studies. She never was impatient with my bad English or my fear of American things because she had had them too. Slowly, I started to feel like the United States wasn't so bad. I stopped thinking so much about all the things I missed and started thinking about all the things I could do. I made more friends, I ate pizza, I went to the movie. America began to feel like home, and now it is. But that's why I wanted you to have friends from our culture, Mom told me, because it's easier when you know people who understand. But just because they're Chinese doesn't mean they're the same as me, I said. I don't think they understand at all. That's true, Mom said, but because they are Chinese, they're more likely to understand. Look at you and Melody. Don't you think she understands? I nodded, but I wasn't convinced. It's not fair. To Americans, I'm too Chinese, and to Chinese people, I'm too American. So which one am I supposed to be? Neither and both, Mom told me. You don't have to be more than one than the other. You're Chinese American. Or Taiwanese American, I complained. It's so confusing. Good thing you're so smart, Mom said. You can keep from getting mixed up. Yeah, I said, but not everyone's as smart as I am. Chapter 24, New York City. And the picture is a basket of crabs. Since it was summer, Mom and Dad planned for a family vacation after the conference. This time we were going to New York City. I was always confused about New York City. Was the city named after the state, or was the state named after the city? Whenever we told people where we lived, we had to say upstate New York, not New York. If we only said New York, they thought that we were from New York City. I didn't think that was fair. New York City was a lot smaller than the rest of the state. New York City meant Chinatown, and that meant that we could buy all the things that we couldn't get in New Hartford. So Mom did all of her grocery shopping. She took us to a Chinese grocery store and told us to pick up whatever we wanted. The Chinese grocery store was cramped and crowded and had a strange smell, kind of like the way your feet smell after you walked in the rain. Lizzie said it was because of the dried mushrooms in the window. There were blue crabs in a basket by the stairs, and boxes of sunshine yellow mangoes, and sand-colored Chinese pears on the floor. We had to pick things that could keep for a long time, so Lizzie pulled out some canned lychee while I was picking up a bag of Chinese popsicles, and Kiki grabbed some Chinese New Year candy. When we brought the items to the cart, Mom told us to get more. Get 3 or 4 packs, Mom urged us. They have to last you the whole year. By the time that we finished picking out everything we wanted, we had 2 full carts full of groceries. It took us a long time to check out, and Dad went to go get the car while Mom paid. The owner of the grocery store came out and helped us put the groceries in our car. He bowed to Mom and thanked her for coming. He gave Kiki, Lissy, and me each a box of chocolate caramels for free. Mom said it was because we gave him such good business, and we had. The whole car was full, and I had to sit beside 6 cans of baby corn for the rest of the trip. After we went grocery shopping, Mom and Dad brought us to a Chinese bakery for a treat. Dad ordered 5 diamond-shaped pieces of 1,000-layer cake, 1 piece for each of us. It didn't really have 1,000 layers, but it was soft, sweet, and very yummy. Can someone get a job eating cake, like a professional cake eater? It was August already, and I still hadn't found myself. No, Mom laughed. Anyway, you would get tired of eating cake all the time. I wouldn't, Lissy said. I can eat cake every day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The whole thing. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Here's a picture of the 1,000-layer cake. You sound just like your uncle, Mom said. He loves cake. Did I ever tell you the story about your uncle and the cake? Uncle Shen and the special cake. Well, when we were kids, we weren't very rich, so we rarely got anything special. Sometimes Grandma gave us little candies or a cookie, but never anything much better than that. However, one day, a rich auntie came to visit us. She brought us a big box wrapped in a silky bow. Do you know what it was in it? There was a cake inside. We had never been so lucky to have a whole cake before. It was a frosted white rectangle with sugary pink flowers and pastel green leaves. Every inch of that cake held a promise of sweet delight. My sisters, my brother, and I stared at it with big eyes and licked our lips. We wanted to eat it so bad. The worst was my brother, Shin. You know Uncle Shin. He loved to eat, and he usually got the best of everything. He was the only boy in the family, so Grandma spoiled him. "That's mine," he growled like a starving wolf, his eyes devouring the cake. He wanted that whole cake for himself. While my auntie was talking to Grandpa, Grandma took the cake into the kitchen. She cut it into 8 equal slices, 1 slice for each of us. I couldn't wait. We crowded around her and inspected each slice to make sure that they were the same size. Uncle Shin kept circling us as if he were a hungry tiger. "I want all the cake," he kept hissing. "I want all the cake. Give me all of it." But just as Grandma finished slicing the cake, Auntie called out to say that she was leaving. Here's a picture of all the kids with the cake being cut up. We all had to go saying goodbye. We left the cake on the table and bowed goodbye to Auntie in front of the house. All of us said goodbye and waved, except for Shin. He had disappeared. When we went back into the kitchen, there was Shin. He was devouring the cake like a hungry pig, crumbs and frosting decorating his mouth and nose. He was such a greedy boy, and he was determined to have the whole cake to himself. But we had only left him alone with the cake for a minute, so he wasn't able to eat the entire thing. Do you know what he did instead? He spit on the other pieces. It was so gross. He ruined everyone's piece so he could have it all. And we did. We watched him eat every piece. What a spoiled boy he was. But that night he had a horrible stomachache, and no one felt sorry for him. "I would have just eaten around where he had spit," Lissy said. "Ew," we all said together. "Yuck." Chapter 25. Halloween at school. There's a picture of a jack-o'-lantern. I couldn't believe the summer was over, but it was. The leaves turned yellow as a Chinese pear, and the air felt like it came from an open refrigerator. Too soon it was time to go back to school. Lissy took the big bus to junior high school, and Kiki went with me to the bus stop. Kiki was in kindergarten now. My new teacher was Mrs. Pitterassi. She was tall and had curly short hair the color of cinnamon. Melody was in my class, and so was Sam Mercer. That made us happy. But Becky was in Mrs. Wynn's class across the hall. Mrs. Pitterassi had been Lissy's teacher too. She remembered that. On my first day, she said, "Oh, I taught your sister Beatrice." I hope she didn't think I was good at math like Lissy was. Mrs. Pitterassi was a fun teacher. If your birthday was on a school day, Mrs. Pitterassi gave you a big lollipop. I was sad because my birthday was on a Sunday this year, so I wouldn't get a lollipop. But for Halloween, she let me draw a big picture of a laughing jack-o'-lantern, and she taped it to a window. Mrs. Pitterassi also said that we could have a costume contest for Halloween. That was exciting. She said that we should wear our costumes, and she would get some of the other teachers to judge who had the best costume. What should my costume be? I asked everyone. I spent a lot of time drawing myself in different costumes. I drew myself as a silver fairy, a princess dressed in velvet, an amethyst butterfly, and a green-faced witch, but I wasn't sure I wanted to be any of them. No one helped me come up with any more ideas. Lissy said I should go as a thing, like her. That meant painting your face a pasty green, putting on a shower cap, and wearing Dad's doctor gown. She always went as a thing. "No one knows what you are when you go like that," I complained to her. "That's why you should do it," Lissy said. "You'll be the only thing in your class." I wasn't convinced. Being a thing was not my idea of a good costume. Most people were buying their costumes from the store. We went too, but I didn't see anything I liked. I didn't like the masks that came with the costumes. They were hard plastic with cheap colors and fake smiles. And you just tied the mask around your head with a rubber band. And they didn't look real. I realized that if I wanted a good costume, I'd have to make it myself. But how and what could it be? I could cut 2 eye holes in a sheet and go as a ghost, but that seemed boring. Besides, not only would Mom not like it if I cut holes in a sheet, but we didn't have any plain white sheets. We had ivory ones with printed coral red flowers, and coffee-colored sheets with stripes, and canary yellow ones with floating balloons, but no plain white ones. What kind of a ghost would have flowers printed on her? I kept walking around and around. Finally, when Kiki said that she was going to be the Wicked Witch of the West, I got an idea. I'd be a black cat. I could wear Lissy's old black dance leotard, and I could make cat ears and tape them onto a headband. I could even draw whiskers on my face with Mom's makeup pencil. When I got home, I told Mom my idea. She agreed that it was a good one. We opened up Lissy's old clothes drawer and found the black leotard. I tried it on, and it fit. But we'll have to buy you new stockings, Mom said, holding up Lissy's old one. These have holes in them. I couldn't wait for Halloween after that. I made Kiki and Lissy promise not to tell anyone what my costume was. I didn't even tell Melody. What are you going to be? I asked Melody. It's a surprise, she grinned and said, what are you going to be? I shook my head too and kept my lips tightly closed. It was so hard to keep a secret. I could feel it wanting to burst out like a popping balloon. On Halloween, Mrs. Pederossi let us change into our costume. The girls went in the girls' bathroom, and the boys went in the boys' room. I drew on my whiskers, colored my nose with a black makeup pencil, and wiggled into my new stockings and leotard. But when I looked down at my legs, they were the wrong color. Bad luck. Mom had bought me navy blue stockings instead of black ones by mistake. I didn't know what to do. Should I take the stockings off? Then I'd be a black cat with pale legs, and I'd be cold. But now I was a black and blue cat. Whoever heard of a black and blue cat? But without the stockings, it probably wouldn't even look like a costume. I'd look like a ballet student with cat ears. I decided to leave the stockings on. If anyone asked, I'd just say I meant to be a black and blue cat. It was fun seeing everyone's costumes. There were lots of monsters and ghosts. I was glad that I hadn't gone as a ghost. Sam Mercer was Santa Claus, and he had made his beard from notebook paper he had cut into shreds. Another boy was a robot made from a box covered with tinfoil, but the funniest one was Melody. She had cut a hole out of a laundry basket and put it around her waist. There were clothes filling the basket. I'm a basket of laundry, she told us. Everyone's desks were laid out for a party. At each desk there was a cup of apple cider, an orange frosted cupcake with black and brown sprinkles, some candy corn, and an apple. Mrs. Pederossi was playing some creepy music. Some other teachers were sitting at the big table, ready to judge our costumes. We paraded around before we sat down. When they announced the winners, Melody won first prize. Mrs. Pederossi gave her a blue ribbon and a huge lollipop, with rainbow colors twisted into it. Sam Mercer got an honorable mention and a bar of chocolate with a yellow ribbon on it. I didn't win anything. The judges must have noticed my blue legs. Maybe if my legs had been black, I might have won something. On the bus ride home, Melody let me lick her lollipop. You're so lucky, I told her. You won the blue ribbon, a lollipop, and you got to stand next to Sam Mercer. You're lucky too, Melody said. It's our lucky year, remember? You're the only one who won the ribbon, I said, so you're the only lucky one. I looked out the window. I felt like one of the early falling leaves, brown and dried up and turning to dust in the blustering wind. I'm not lucky, I told Melody. I'm not lucky at all. Chapter 26, A Prize. After Halloween, we took down the jack-o'-lantern picture and hung up pictures of horns of plenty. I drew a big turkey with purple and red feathers, and Mrs. Pederossi put it on the bulletin board next to the calendar. November, December, Melody counted the months. The year is almost over. I know, I said sadly. And I still haven't found myself or my talent. I guess I'll have to wait till the next year of the dog. But the next morning, while we were all sitting in our seat, the loudspeaker crackled. It was a surprise announcement. I would like to congratulate one of our students, Grace Lin, Mr. Hargraves, the principal, announced through the loudspeaker. Everyone turned and looked at me. What had I done? Grace's book, The Ugly Vegetables, has won 4th place in the National Written and Illustrated Awards contest for students. This is a great honor, especially since she was chosen out of more than 20,000 entries. Grace will receive $400 and a certificate for winning 4th place. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I had been tickled awake from a nap. Melody was bouncing up and down in her seat. The whole class was clapping. I had forgotten about the contest over the summer, and now I had won 4th place. Congratulations, Grace, Mrs. Pederossi said. All my friends gathered around me, congratulating me. I couldn't wait to get home and tell anyone. At home, Mama and Dad were just as excited. You said you would cry if my book won a prize, I reminded Mom. Oh yes, she said, and she hid her face in her hands and pretended to cry. Dad put his hands over his face and pretended to. Kiki and I laughed. Lissy rolled her eyes. Can we stop now, she groaned. It only won 4th place. It won't get published. But it won $400, Kiki said. You're rich. Suddenly it felt like the last piece of a puzzle fitting into place. As I realized something. I was rich, and not only was I rich, I won a prize. I had talent as an author and an illustrator. I finally knew what I could do when I could make up. When I grew up, I could make books. When I grew up, I could have a whole shelf of books, all written by me. I was lucky. Like a creamy chocolate in my mouth, a warm feeling melted through me. I smiled my biggest smile. I found myself, I told everyone. I'm going to make books when I grow up. Yeah, right, Lissy said. You'll change your mind. No, I won't, I insisted. You'll see. There's lots of time to figure it out, Dad said. There's no rush. Yes, there was, I told him. I had to figure it out before the year of the dog was over. Oh, Dad said, laughing. Well, I'm sure all the dogs in the world are satisfied now. Chapter 27, American Holidays, the Chinese Way. On TV, after someone gets rich, everything changes. They get servants and fancy clothes and big houses. After I got rich, none of these things happened. Mom said I'd have to get even richer for those things. But I didn't mind because I had figured out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And just in time, snow fell from the sky like clumps of white rice. The holiday season was here. Thanksgiving and Christmas are 2 of the most important holidays in the United States. It took Lissy, Kiki, and me a long time to show Mom and Dad how to celebrate them right. Every year for Thanksgiving, we had to talk Mom into buying a turkey. Why don't I get a chicken, Mom would say. A turkey is too big. No, we would all say in unison. You have to eat turkey on Thanksgiving. Okay, she said, but you have to eat all the leftovers. Dad and I don't like turkey. Then Mom would rummage through the frozen food section trying to find the smallest turkey possible. Lissy tried to talk Mom into making mashed sweet potatoes like they do on the TV. Mom made them, but she didn't put them in a bowl like Americans did. She molded them into small cakes and then decorated them with herbs. They were like marigold-colored cupcakes with parsley sprinkles. We couldn't help but laugh when we saw them. What? Mom said. It's prettier this way. Thanksgiving dinner at our house was always like that. We always had a lot of food covering the table, but it was full of glassy rice noodles, stir-fried shrimp, crispy fried fish, meaty dumplings, tangy sweet and sour pork, thick egg drop soup, white rice, and a very small turkey. The turkey was never in the middle of the table, but always on the side because Mom only made it because we said we had to have it. Christmas was the same way. Everyone in our neighborhood hung up Christmas lights all over their houses and trees. We tried to get Dad to do it, but he never did it the same. He didn't spend much time doing it. Without putting on his coat or boots, he ran outside and threw them on a bush. Brr, he said, stomping the snow from his bedroom slippers. It's cold out there. So of course, while everyone else's lights were in nice arches and evenly spaced out over their trees and bushes, our lights looked like a blob, with the light bulbs flashing frantically for help. Looks more natural this way, Dad said when we complained. Here's a picture of their Thanksgiving table, and then their neighbors' bushes versus their bushes. If a bush were ever to grow electric rainbow-colored blinking lights, I'm sure it would look more like our bushes than anyone else's. Mom hated buying a Christmas tree. The poor tree, Mom would say. Do you know how many years it took for the tree to grow that big? And you want to cut it down just to decorate it for a couple of weeks? How about we just decorate my rubber tree plant? It's almost as big as a tree. I didn't understand it all. And they didn't get us Christmas presents. Chinese people don't usually give gifts. They give lucky red envelopes of money. Mom said it was much more practical that way. But we told them that for Christmas we were supposed to get presents. But it's the same as if I give you money, Mom would argue. What's the difference? I buy it for you or you buy it for yourself. We just shook our head. Okay, Mom said, what do you want for Christmas? Now this was more like Christmas. What did we want? Lissy wanted clothes. Now that she was almost a teenager, she wanted to be stylish. I thought that clothes were the most boring gift ever. Kiki wanted more toy ponies. Her friend Sandy Pan had 100 ponies, and Kiki only had 4. She wanted to catch up with Sandy, but I didn't think Mom would buy her 96 ponies. What about you, Pacey? Mom asked. I thought hard. At first, I thought maybe I wanted some new paints and drawing paper. Ever since I decided I was going to write and draw books, I needed a lot of supplies. But somehow that didn't seem special enough for a Christmas present. In books, Christmas gifts were always fancy toys or games. So I thought about what kind of toy I wanted. At school, we were reading about a pioneer girl. She had a doll with a bonnet and a cornflower blue calico apron. It had a rag body and a shiny clay head with painted blue eyes and black hair. They'd called it a China doll. I decided I wanted one of those so I could pretend I was a pioneer doll. I want a China doll, I told Mom. You know the kind of dolls with a head made out of clay? I want one of those. Mom nodded her head. On Christmas morning, we were all excited to get up. Even though we already knew what our presents were, it was fun to go open them. Lizzie got a new pair of jeans and the peacock green and blue striped sweater she wanted. Kiki got a lavender-colored toy pony with sparkling fake jewels on it. But I got a Chinese doll. It wasn't anything like the pioneer girl had. It was a Chinese woman with long black hair, wearing a pink silk dress and carrying flowers. I was so disappointed. Mom came down to see us open our gifts. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Isn't this what you wanted?" "But I asked for a China doll," I said. "You know, with the clay head." "But it's a Chinese doll," Mom said, "and her head is made out of porcelain. I even ordered it from China." It took a while to explain. Finally, Mom said, "I'm sorry it wasn't what you wanted, but do you like the doll anyway?" I looked at the doll. She had a nice face. It wasn't her fault that she wasn't the same as the pioneer's girl. "Oh well," I said. "I guess I can pretend I'm a pioneer girl in China." Chapter 28. Here Comes Chinese New Year. An upside-down luck New Year's decoration is the picture. And you can also see her getting ready. The one holiday Mom and Dad did know how to celebrate was Chinese New Year. Sometimes we thought they celebrated it too well, especially when Mom made us clean. "Pacey, clean the mirrors," Mom would say. Lissy vacuumed the carpet, Kiki polished the furniture. Everything has to be clean for Chinese New Year. And we would have to sweep and mop and brush and polish everything. We were glad when we finished. After that, Mom and Dad took out their Chinese New Year decorations. Mom hung up a bright red sign with a black Chinese symbol on it, upside down on our door. It says, "Good luck," Mom told us. Hanging it upside down means good luck has already come in. Mom took us shopping for new clothes. Everything has to be new for the new year, she told us. "Oh, and I have to cut your hair too." Mom always cut our hair as part of the New Year tradition. We had to cut it the day before New Year's because it's bad luck to cut your hair on New Year's Day. Mom had us sit on a high stool in the kitchen and put a big white plastic cloth around our necks. Then she would wear her red and green plaid raincoat, take out her scissors, and cut our hair. Lissy wanted to get her hair cut at a fancy salon in the mall, but Mom said it was too expensive. "But I wanted to look good," Lucy pouted. "They cut it just the same," Mom said. "No," Lissy said. "A girl in my class says they cut her hair in layers." "That's American hair," Mom said. "You can't cut our hair in that special way. It's too straight." "But if you cut it," Lissy said, "it'll look just like Pacey's and Kiki. I'm older. My hair should look different." "Okay, I'll cut it differently," Mom said. Did I ever tell you about the time they cut my hair at school? Haircut at school. Do you remember how I told you that in schools in Taiwan were different from here? Every day our uniform had to be crisp and spotless, and our hair to be straight and combed and never longer than our ears. They were very strict about these rules, and every day when we entered the school building, a teacher waited at the door to inspect us. She was a horrible woman. She had a long, sharp nose like a knife, and her hair was pulled back so tightly that it looked like it was painted onto her skull. She was always watching and waiting, her eyes scanning for any imperfections. My hair always grew so fast. Grandma had to cut it all the time, much more than she cut my sister's hair. I hated getting my hair cut. I always felt like it was such a bother. But one day, on my way to school, I touched my hair. It was just a little longer than my ears, but it was longer by such a small amount that I ignored it. I thought the teacher wouldn't notice. But as I got closer to school, I began to feel nervous. I could see her at the door, studying the line of students the same way a hungry cat would study a line of mice. I fluffed my hair up, hoping it would make it look shorter. I saw a group of girls in front of me. I joined them, staying at the back. I hoped they would hide me, but they didn't. As I walked through the door, the teacher pointed at me. She pointed at me with a stern face that seemed to be made of steel. "No," she barked at me like an army sergeant. "Your hair is too long." I felt like a fish trapped under frozen water. As she reached into her pocket and took out a pair of scissors, she seized a handful of my hair, and I felt the cold metal points on my neck. Snip, snip, saw my hair flutter down to the ground like a dying moth. Go, the teacher said. Like a rabbit hearing a gun fired, I jumped away. When I hurried away from her, I touched my hair and almost stopped, still from shock. She'd only cut one side. One cut was cut very short, above my ear, but the other side was below my ear. It was lopsided. I looked so ridiculous, and for the whole day I had to have that bad haircut. Mom finished. As soon as school was over, I ran all the way home so that Grandma could cut it all one length. That's not the kind of different I mean, Lissy said. I know, Mom said. When Lissy's hair was done, I thought it looked the same as always, but Mom got a curling iron and curled her bangs and brushed them out. Lissy's hair was all fluffy, like a poodle's, but when Lissy looked in the mirror, she was happy. Chapter 29, Goodbye, Year of the Dog. That year, Melody's family was coming over to celebrate Chinese New Year with us. Since it was on a Friday, we were going to stay up late to welcome the New Year. So Mom chopped and baked and steamed twice as much as she did last year. We all had to help her in the kitchen or she never would have gotten it done in time. That year, I made dumplings. They weren't too hard to make. Mom did all the hard parts. She rolled the dumpling skins and made the filling. I cut the circles out of the dough using a cookie cutter. Then I spooned in the filling and folded the skin. My dumplings looked like little half moons. When we finished making the dumplings, Mom boiled and fried them. Then I peeled the shrimp while Mom fried the fish and Lissy chopped up some garlic. Dad added the extra part to the table to make it longer, and Kiki filled the New Year tray all by herself. This time we had more things to fill it with. Kiki put in Chinese New Year melon candy, honey noodle cakes, and red melon seeds, as well as M&Ms. I set the table, Kiki took out the polished serving spoons, and Lissy scooped rice out into a big bowl like she was shoveling snow. Dad got out a special wine and the delicate wine glasses that were like soap bubbles with stem. All the while, with sizzling oil and vegetable slices popping in front of her like firecrackers, Mom kept frying and chopping. Then it was Chinese New Year. The phone started ringing, and then the doorbell rang. Melody's family came in. Gongshi gongshi, Xin Nian Hao, they said. Happy Chinese New Year. Melody's parents handed Dad a big plant. Melody and Felix handed me a big wooden crate overflowing with oranges. There were a lot of oranges. They kept jumping out of the crate like rabbits trying to escape. Here's a picture of Melody's family at the door. Why'd you get so many oranges? I asked. We're never going to be able to eat them all. It's to bring good luck, don't you know? Melody told me. Not luck, Felix corrected her. Money. The Chinese word for oranges sounds like the word for wealth. I'm glad I'm already rich, so I don't have to worry about it, I said. Then give the oranges back, Melody told me. Then I'll get rich too. Hey, me too, Felix said. Kiki and Benji joined in as well. We peeled the oranges and shared them. I guess it was a good thing they had brought so many. That way everyone could get rich. Time to eat, Mom called. Everyone hustled into the dining room and then stared in awe. Mom had made so much food, even more than last year. This year we had clams that looked like ocean stones, a roasted duck with its head still on, fried rice with pink shrimp, steamed buns that looked like enormous marshmallows, pan-fried fish, jade green cabbage, golden brown dumplings, red marinated pork, and brownish black seaweed. Yum, Felix said. Let's eat. The year of the dog is over, Dad said as he poured the drinks. All the adults got special Chinese wine, while the kids got juice. When Mom wasn't looking, Lucy tasted the wine. She made a face when she drank it. Now it's year of the pig, Mom said. My year, Lucy added. You're a pig, Melody, and I laughed. Oink, oink. Lucy stuck her tongue out at us, but for once she couldn't think of anything to say back. The year of the dog was a good year, Dad continued. Don't you think? I thought about it. The year of the dog was the year that I met Melody and she became my best friend. It was the year I had won a prize, discovered my talent, and got rich. It was the year that I had found myself and decided I was going to make books when I grew up. The year of the dog had been a great year. Let's give a toast to the year of the dog, Dad said. We all raised our glasses and clinked them together. Goodbye, year of the dog, I said. Goodbye. And you can see a picture of the wine and a pig and Pacey's house with the stars above it. And that's the end of this book. Now, something interesting to know is that Grace Lin wrote this book mostly based on her own life, and she actually has that book, Ugly Vegetables, that's been published, as well as a lot of other picture books, early reader books, and other chapter books like this one. I hope you enjoyed this story, The Year of the Dog by Grace Lin, published by Little Brown and Company. Once again, my name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, and I hope to see you again for some other videos. Bye! Thank you for listening.